There is a correlation between prosperity and development and socioeconomic growth and the growth of manufacturing. Well, this is a very interesting conversation on the role manufacturing plays in countries' competitiveness and growth, development, and prosperity in general. Manufacturing plays a tremendous impact. It creates and brings along a lot of impact in this area. There is not a society that is mature enough and a growth trend that has not invested and developed the industry and the manufacturing specifically, manufacturing industry in general. The more industrialized countries or the countries that have more growth and accelerated growth, there is kind of a correlation between those results and the way manufacturing is evolving. I'll give you a little example. As a consequence of the globalization trend, people looking for the best cost structure for manufacturing, as everybody knows, a lot of operations went from the west to the east, and specifically China became the manufacturer of the world. And as a consequence, if you look at the GDP growth of China in the last few years, it's been pretty good. At the same time, we see the impact of manufacturing in that GDP becoming bigger and bigger. While globally, the effect of manufacturing, which is very important in GDP, global GDP, we're talking about maybe 15% of GDP being driven by manufacturing. And you look at specifically China, we are talking about numbers that are beyond 20% in the same year, 2023, around that. This is very, very meaningful and important. The same period of time, after Second World War, we saw North America, the United States specifically, being propelled and engined by a strong industry and a strong manufacturing and bringing it to their peak in GDP growth and what we know to be the most dominant economy of the world. Going back to the numbers I was sharing before, if we look at China going up to a level of 20% of GDP being manufacturing, while the world averages in the 14–15%, the United States was below, in the same year, 2023, below that average, while China was really pulling a lot. There is a correlation between prosperity and development and socioeconomic growth and the growth of manufacturing. So manufacturing plays an immensely important role for governments and territories and groups of countries that want to excel, that want to drive growth, and that want to bring prosperity to the game, which is the interest of every government, if you look at it. So what would governments do to leverage the trends that we see geopolitically, bringing manufacturing operations being a little bit fragmented in the marketplace and protectionism being in place? Well, it is imperative that every country defines a operational or a manufacturing or an industry strategy that will drive and guide decision-making from the country standpoint down to the enterprises on how to leverage the country competitive offerings to drive operational excellence, bring more operations to play, and contribute to leverage those strategies and those uniqueness that every country will offer. In other words, every country should work and dedicate efforts to define an industrialization strategy and offer within it uniqueness that, if leveraged by the enterprises, will drive this prosperity and the contribution to GDP growth in general. We've seen recent examples in the United States when the IRA was created and some other strategies and bills that were passed during that last period that created the foundation for an industrial strategy for growth and recovery of the territory they have lost in the area of manufacturing. At the same time, you see countries like in the Middle East, you see Saudi Arabia, where they have created a strategy where they will drive, and they are driving actively, to separate themselves from dependency from one single industry, the oil industry. Those are important interventions the government should do to look at what they have, what they don't, and create an infrastructure, an environment, strategic environment for the country to prosper through incorporation of the industry and having manufacturing propel a lot of that growth.